Hi, I'm James Harper, pastor of First Presbyterian Church. I appreciate you taking the time to learn more about us by watching these videos. Today we're going to focus on that term Presbyterian. What does that mean? Where did it come from? Why is it in the name of our church? To understand that, we need to step back in history. You may realize that for a long time there was just one church from 33 AD, which was the approximate year of Jesus' resurrection and the birth of the church, until 1054. There wasn't a Roman Catholic church, there wasn't a Presbyterian or Baptist church, it was just the Christian church. And towards the end of that 1,000-year period, there were some differences that began to emerge geographically. People in different parts of the world understood the practice of Christianity a little bit different. They had cultural variations that really caused them to view what it meant to be Christian in their context differently. And that led to arguments, that led to dissension, and eventually led to a split called the Great Schism. And that Great Schism produced two churches, the Roman Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church. And that began in 1054, and there were just two churches until 1517. In that 500-year or so period, the Roman Catholic Church occupied pretty much western half of Europe. The Orthodox Church occupied the eastern half of Europe and Asia and into Africa. And then in 1517, the church blew up into a large number of bodies after an event called the Reformation. The Protestant Reformation occurred in 1517. It was inspired by Martin Luther and his teachings, particularly his 95 Theses, which were 95 statements of protest against the practices of the Roman Catholic Church. This event had no effect, or at least structurally it had no effect on the Orthodox Church, just the Roman Catholic Church. And it was, I think Martin Luther was identifying discontents that a lot of people had, but were not in a place of influence like his, or had the ability to articulate them like his, and so no one had really done anything similar to what Martin Luther did. But when he made those statements public, when he protested against the church, it exploded. A great fire emerged and fueled just a rapid division, split, growth in new areas of the church in that Protestant Reformation. We moved from having one church until 1054 to having two churches until 1517, and then with the Protestant Reformation, there came thousands of churches, if you look from the time of the Protestant Reformation today. There are three main branches, though, of that Reformation. One was the Lutherans, following the teachings of Martin Luther. Their approach through the Reformation was pretty mild. They didn't want to make a lot of change. The second group were the Reformed leaders, Reformed teachers. Mainly John Calvin is identified as kind of the leader or the primary teacher for the Reformed stream of the Reformation. And they had more of a moderate approach to change in the church. And then you had the Anabaptist movement, and there's really not any one person that could be identified as greater than another of influencing that movement. And they're the ones who had the most radical vision for change from the church. And those categories still pretty much dominate the way denominations and churches are aligned today. First Presbyterian Church is part of that Reformed branch. We follow that Reformed teaching that was primarily delivered by John Calvin, who was a French priest who moved to Switzerland to implement these principles of the Reformation within that more moderate approach, that Reformed approach. And that part of the movement spread through quite a bit of Northern Europe. And that is historically where we connect back into the Protestant movement. So there are two types of churches that emerged from that Reformed branch. There were the Reformed churches, meaning those named after the theology of the church. Then there were Presbyterian churches, which were those named after the polity of that movement. So there's a Reformed theology and Reformed polity, and churches either took the name of the theology and called themselves a Reformed church, or they took the name of the polity based on a rule of elders and called themselves Presbyterian churches. Now, the Presbyterian Church is what emerged in Scotland under the leadership of a guy named John Knox in around 1689. And it was from there that we derive our history. Missionaries came to America, and first ones in 1706, and they were the first ones to plant Presbyterian churches in the United States. And then that spread across the United States. We're not a particularly large denomination compared to others, but we do have a distinct history, distinct identity. We're part of that Reformed branch of the Protestant Reformation that emerged from the group of churches that identified themselves, named themselves based on their polity, that rule by elders that came through Scotland into Ireland and then into the United States. I hope that gives you help understanding why that term is in the name of our church, what that means, and where it came from. I encourage you to go watch some of the other videos about our church. Thank you for watching this one.